The warning alarm screamed through the Coalition monitoring station like angry metal birds. Commander Yoon jumped from his chair, spilling hot coffee across his uniform. The sound meant only one thing. Something had entered the Kepler War Zone that should not be there. Report. Yoon shouted over the noise. Lieutenant Han's fingers flew across his control panel. His face went pale as he read the data. Sir, we have a single ship signature entering Sector 77. It's moving fast, faster than anything we've seen before. Yoon rushed to Han's station. The main screen showed the Kepler sector in all its deadly glory. For 2 years, 3 alien races had been tearing each other apart over the quantum crystals hidden in the asteroid fields. The insect-like hive collective with their living ships, the crystal beings of the Nexus Empire with their gleaming fleets, the gas creatures of the Void Confederation with their plasma vessels. Thousands of ships had died in this place. No one entered the Kepler War Zone unless they had a death wish. "Show me the ship," Yoon ordered. The display zoomed in. A single vessel moved through space like a silver arrow. It was sleek and strange, unlike any design in the Coalition database. Energy readings poured across the screen in numbers that made no sense. "Those power levels can't be right," Han said, shaking his head. "Check the sensors again." "I've checked 3 times, sir. The readings are accurate. This ship is putting out more energy than a Nexus battle cruiser." Yoon felt a cold knot form in his stomach. "What's the ship's classification? Who does it belong to?" Han's fingers danced across his keyboard. "Unknown design, sir." "But wait," he paused, his eyes growing wide. "Sir, it's broadcasting a message." "Put it through," the speakers crackled to life. A calm, steady voice filled the station. "This is Captain Lee Day of the human vessel Indomitable. We are responding to distress calls from this sector. Repeat. This is the human vessel Indomitable entering the Kepler War Zone to assist civilians in distress." Silence fell over the monitoring station like a heavy blanket. Yoon stared at the screen, his mouth hanging open. "Did he say human?" "Yes, sir, human." Yoon had heard whispers about humans. They were a new species discovered only recently on the far edge of the galaxy. The report said they were primitive, barely spaceworthy. Their technology was supposed to be centuries behind the rest of the galaxy. They had achieved faster than light travel only 300 years ago, which made them babies compared to races that had been traveling the stars for thousands of years. "Pull up everything we have on humans," Yoon ordered. Han's report was thin. Humans lived on a small blue planet called Earth. They were carbon-based like many species, but they had only recently joined the galactic community. Their ships were basic. Their weapons were simple. They had no experience with real warfare. Most of the galaxy considered them curious but harmless. "Sir," Han said, pointing at his screen. "The 3 fleets are responding to the human ship." The main display lit up like a festival of death. From 3 different directions, massive fleets began moving toward the lone human vessel. The Hive Collective's bioships pulsed with angry red light as they changed course. Living creatures the size of cities bred for war, with teeth like mountains and claws that could tear through starship hulls. 200 of them turned toward the human ship like sharks smelling blood. From the crystal fields came the Nexus Empire's fleet. 150 ships made of pure crystal, each one beautiful and deadly. They reflected the light of nearby stars, creating rainbow patterns that could blind enemy pilots. Their weapons turned matter into energy and energy into nothing at all. The Void Confederation's ships were harder to see. 180 vessels made of contained plasma and gas, shifting and flowing like angry clouds. They could phase through solid matter and appear inside enemy ships. They were nightmare creatures that fought with fire and lightning. All 3 fleets moved toward the single human ship with the speed of hunting wolves. "They're going to destroy it," Han whispered. Yoon watched the tactical display with growing dread. The human ship was outnumbered nearly 600 to 1. Even if their technology was more advanced than the report suggested, no single ship could face 3 entire fleets and survive. It would be a massacre. "Sir, should we warn them?" Han asked. "Warn them of what? That they're about to die?" I think they can see the fleets on their own sensors. But the human ship did not slow down. It did not change course. It continued moving straight toward the center of the war zone, directly into the path of the converging fleets. The ship's message kept broadcasting on all frequencies. This is Captain Lee Day of the human vessel Indomitable. We are responding to distress calls from this sector. What distress calls? Yoon asked. Han, scan the area. Are there any civilian ships in the war zone? Han's fingers worked quickly. After a few moments, he nodded grimly. Yes, sir. There's a coalition transport ship called Harmony's Dream. It's trapped in the asteroid field at Grid 77 Alpha. The ship sent out a distress signal 4 hours ago. Life support is failing. There are 43 people on board, including children. Yoon felt sick. The transport ship was a refugee vessel, carrying families fleeing from a destroyed colony world. They had been trying to reach safety when their ship broke down in the worst possible place, the middle of an active war zone. The 3 fleets ignored the distress call? Yoon asked. They've been ignoring it, sir. Too busy fighting each other to care about civilians. But somehow the humans had heard it. Somehow they had decided to risk everything to save 43 strangers. Yoon looked at the display again. The human ship was tiny compared to the massive fleets moving to intercept it. It looked like a mouse surrounded by tigers. Sir, Han said urgently, the fleets are in communication range of the human ship. They're sending messages. Put them through. The speakers erupted with alien voices. The Hive Queen's bioship sent a message that sounded like screaming insects. Unknown vessel, you have entered our hunting grounds. Leave immediately or be consumed. The Nexus Emperor's crystal flagship sent a message that rang like singing glass. Primitive ship, you disturb the harmony of our war. Withdraw or be shattered into component atoms. The Void Admiral's plasma vessel sent a message that hissed like escaping gas. Small craft, you have no business in our territory. Depart now or be dispersed into your base elements. The human response came quickly in that same calm voice. Negative. There are civilians in distress in this sector. We will not abandon them. If you wish to engage, you'll have to go through us first. Yoon nearly fell out of his chair. Did he just threaten 3 entire fleets? I think he did, sir. The alien responses came immediately. All 3 fleets sent the same message at the same time. So be it. Yoon watched in horror as 600 warships accelerated toward the lone human vessel. The most powerful fleets in this part of the galaxy, each one capable of destroying planets, all focused on a single target. It would be over in minutes, but the human ship kept moving. Straight toward the trapped civilian vessel, straight through the converging fleets of death. May the stars have mercy on them, Yoon whispered. On his screen, the tactical display showed the human ship as a single green dot, surrounded by an ocean of red enemy contacts. In a few minutes, that green dot would disappear forever, and 43 civilians would die alone in the dark. Unless something impossible happened, unless the humans were not what they seemed to be. Captain Lee Day stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching enemy ships appear on his tactical display like angry red stars. He was a tall man with steady eyes and hands that never shook, even when death came calling. Around him, his crew worked with the quiet efficiency of people who trusted each other completely. Captain, said Navigator Kim. So, her voice calm despite the chaos on her screens. We're detecting massive fleet movements. The Hive Collective is deploying 200 bioships. The Nexus Empire has 150 crystal dreadnoughts. The Void Confederation is mobilizing 180 plasma vessels. They're all heading straight for us. Lee Day nodded as if Kim had just told him about the weather. And the distress signal? Still broadcasting from the civilian transport Harmony's Dream, replied Weapons Officer Park Jin from his station. 43 souls aboard, including children. They're trapped in the asteroid field at Grid 77 Alpha. Life support is failing fast. Chief Engineer Choi Min looked up from her console. Captain, at current speed, we can reach them in 18 minutes. But the enemy fleets will intercept us in 12. Lee Day studied the tactical display. Any military academy in the galaxy would call this situation hopeless. 600 enemy ships against one. No backup, no escape route. No chance of survival. But Lee Day had not graduated from just any military academy. He had graduated from the Human Naval Academy on Earth, where they taught different lessons. Time to contact Mr. Park? The lead elements will be in communication range in 4 minutes, sir. Lee Day walked to the center of the bridge. Through the transparent aluminum windows, he could see the distant flashes of the approaching fleets. The Hive bioships pulsed with bioluminescent warnings, looking like giant jellyfish swimming through space. The Nexus crystal ships caught starlight and threw it back in deadly rainbows. The void plasma vessels flickered in and out of visibility like angry ghosts. Mr. Kim, plot the most direct course to the civilian vessel. Sir, that will take us right through the middle of all 3 fleets. I know. Kim So's fingers flew across her navigation console. Course plotted, Captain. But sir, shouldn't we try to go around them? Find another route? Lee Day shook his head. Every minute we delay is another minute those civilians are dying. We go through. The bridge fell silent except for the quiet hum of the ship's systems. Dr. Nam, the chief medical officer, had come up from sickbay to watch. She stood near the back of the bridge, her medical bag in hand, ready for whatever came next. Incoming transmission, Park Jin announced. All 3 fleet commanders are hailing us simultaneously. Put them through. The main screen split into 3 sections. On the left appeared the Hive Queen, a creature so alien that human eyes could barely process what they were seeing. She was part insect, part machine, part something else entirely. Her voice sounded like 1,000 angry wasps. Unknown vessel, I am Queen Vex of the Hive Collective. You have entered our hunting grounds. Our bioships hunger for battle. Leave immediately, or become food for our living vessels. On the right side of the screen appeared the Nexus Emperor, a being made of living crystal that reflected light in patterns that hurt to look at directly. His voice rang like singing glass. Primitive craft, I am Emperor Chris of the Nexus Empire. You disturb the harmony of our war song. Our crystal ship shall shatter you into component atoms if you do not withdraw immediately. In the center of the screen, the Void Admiral materialized. He was made of contained plasma and gas, constantly shifting and changing shape. His voice hissed like escaping steam. Small vessel, I am Admiral Nex of the Void Confederation. You have no business in our territory. Our plasma weapons will disperse you into your base elements unless you depart at once. Lee Day looked at the 3 alien commanders. Each one represented a civilization that had conquered entire star systems. Each one commanded fleets that could turn planets into dust. Each one was used to having their orders obeyed without question. This is Captain Lee Day of the human vessel Indomitable, he said calmly. We have received a distress call from civilians trapped in this sector. We are responding to render assistance. Queen Vex's insect features twisted in what might have been amusement. Human. We have heard of your species. You are new to space. Weak. Your ships are toys compared to ours. Emperor Chris's crystal form pulsed with rainbow light. Your vessel reads as a single ship. We bring 600. Simple mathematics suggest your immediate destruction. Admiral Nex's plasma body swirled angrily. There are no civilians here. Only war, only death. You will join the death unless you flee. Lee Day's expression did not change. Respectfully, we have confirmed the location of the civilian transport Harmony's Dream. 43 people are aboard, including children. Their life support is failing. We will not abandon them. The 3 alien commanders exchanged looks. In all their years of warfare, they had never encountered anything like this. A single ship facing impossible odds, refusing to retreat. It made no tactical sense. Human, Queen Vex said, her voice dripping with contempt. Your ship will be destroyed. Your crew will die. You cannot save these civilians if you are dead. Perhaps, Lee Day replied, but we're going to try anyway. Emperor Chris leaned forward, his crystal features reflecting confusion. Why, these civilians are not your species. They mean nothing to you. Why die for strangers? Lee Day was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of humanity's greatest truth. Because it's the right thing to do. The alien commanders stared at him. In their languages, there were no words for this concept. The Hive fought for food and territory. The Nexus fought for order and perfection. The Void fought for chaos and expansion. But fighting for strangers, dying for people you had never met, sacrificing everything for the sake of doing right. This was something new. Admiral Nex recovered first. Your nobility is noted, human. But it changes nothing. Withdraw now or face the combined might of 3 fleets. Negative, Li Day said firmly. We will not abandon civilians in distress. If you wish to engage us, you'll have to go through us first. The silence that followed was deafening. On the bridge of the Indomitable, the crew waited. They knew what was coming. They had all volunteered for this mission, knowing it was probably suicide. But they also knew that 43 people were counting on them. Queen Vex spoke first, her voice full of rage. Then you choose death, human. Our bioships will tear your vessel apart. Emperor Chris's crystal form blazed with light. Your atoms will be scattered across space, a monument to foolishness. Admiral Nex's plasma body writhed with anticipation. We shall see how noble you remain when our weapons find their mark. The screen went dark. The 3 fleet commanders had ended the transmission. Around the Indomitable, 600 enemy ships began moving into attack formation. All hands, this is the captain, Li Day announced over the ship's communication system. We are about to engage superior numbers in defense of civilian lives. Remember your training. Trust your shipmates. Do your duty. And know that whatever happens here today, we stand on the right side of history. Choi Min looked up from her engineering station. Captain, all systems are green. We're ready for whatever comes. Park Jin checked his weapons console. Defensive systems online. Weapons charged and ready. Kim So plotted their final approach to the civilian vessel. Course confirmed, Captain. We'll reach the Harmony's Dream in 14 minutes. Dr. Nam moved to her emergency station. Medical team standing by. Li Day took his seat in the captain's chair. Through the viewports, he could see the enemy fleet spreading out like a net of death. In a few minutes, the shooting would start. Ships would die. People would die. But 43 civilians would have a chance to live. Take us in. Mr. Kim, full speed ahead. The Indomitable accelerated toward the heart of the storm, carrying humanity's promise into the darkness that no one fights alone. The first shots came from the Hive Collective. Bioplasma cannons that were actually living organs fired streams of acid that could eat through starship hulls in seconds. The green death reached across space toward the Indomitable like the fingers of some cosmic monster. Incoming fire, Park Jin announced calmly. Bioplasma, multiple vectors. Evasive maneuvers, ordered Captain Li Day. What happened next defied everything the galaxy knew about space combat. The Indomitable did not dodge the incoming fire in the traditional sense. Instead, it seemed to dance. The ship moved in patterns that should have been impossible for something so large, flowing between the plasma streams like water flowing around rocks. On the Hive Queen's bioship, tactical officers stared at their screens in confusion. My queen, the human vessel is not following standard evasion patterns. It moves as if it knows where our shots will be before we fire them. Queen Vex's compound eyes focused on the tactical display. Impossible. No ship can predict bioplasma trajectories. Fire again. Full spread. 100 bioships opened fire simultaneously. The space around the Indomitable filled with deadly green plasma. Any normal ship would have been vaporized instantly, but the human vessel moved through the storm of death like a leaf in the wind, untouched and graceful. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Navigator Kim So worked with inhuman precision. Her fingers flew across the navigation controls, plotting courses that existed for mere seconds before changing again. Captain, their weapons are organic. They follow biological patterns. I can predict their firing solutions. How? Asked Dr. Nam, gripping her medical station as the ship rolled through another impossible maneuver. Evolution, Doctor. Every living thing follows patterns. Even their weapons. I can see the patterns the Nexus Empire fired next. Crystal beams that could cut through matter at the atomic level lanced toward the Indomitable. These weapons moved at the speed of light. There should have been no way to avoid them. But the human ship's hull began to change. Sections that had appeared to be normal armor plating suddenly shifted, revealing crystalline surfaces that caught the Nexus beams and bent them away harmlessly. The deadly light scattered into harmless rainbows. Emperor Chris watched in disbelief from his crystal flagship. How did they possess crystal technology? Our intelligence report said humans were primitive. His science officer, a creature made of pure gemstone, pulsed with confusion. Emperor, those are not Nexus crystals. The molecular structure is different. It appears to be some form of adaptive armor. Adaptive? Explain. The armor changes its properties based on incoming weapons. It becomes crystal to deflect energy beams, metal to stop projectiles, and something else entirely to absorb plasma. The Void Confederation's plasma cannons opened fire from the third direction. These weapons turned matter into pure energy and hurled it across space at incredible velocities. The orange-red beams should have turned the Indomitable into glowing vapor. Instead, the human ship's hull absorbed the energy. The plasma beam struck the armor and simply disappeared, as if the ship was drinking the attacks and growing stronger. Admiral Nex's gaseous form writhed with fury. Our plasma has no effect. How is this possible? His tactical officer, a being of controlled lightning, crackled with uncertainty. Admiral, the human vessel appears to be converting our weapons' energy into power for their own systems. Each shot we fire makes them stronger. The 3 alien fleets had fired thousands of shots. Every weapon they possessed had been used against the single human ship. None of it had worked. The Indomitable continued its approach to the civilian transport, seemingly untouchable. But it was not just the ship's defenses that amazed the alien commanders. It was the crew themselves. On every alien bridge, panic was setting in. Tactical officers were shouting contradictory orders. Weapons crews were firing randomly. Ship captains were demanding explanations that no one could give. On the bridge of the Indomitable, the atmosphere was completely different. Captain Lee Day sat calmly in his chair, watching the tactical display with the same expression he might use to watch a sunset. His crew worked with quiet efficiency, as if being shot at by 600 ships was just another day at the office. Captain, Weapons Officer Park Jin reported, "Enemy fire is decreasing in accuracy. I think we're confusing them." "Good," Lee Day replied. "Mr. Park, are our weapons ready?" "All systems green, sir." "But Captain, our primary mission is the civilian rescue. Should we really be shooting back?" Lee Day considered this. In human military doctrine, there was a concept called proportional response. You used only the force necessary to complete your mission. Target their weapon systems only. Disable, don't destroy. We're not here to start a war. Park Jin nodded and began targeting the nearest enemy vessels. The Indomitable's weapon systems came online, and the alien fleets got their first look at human military technology. The human ship did not fire energy beams or plasma bolts. Instead, it launched what appeared to be simple metal projectiles. The aliens almost laughed. Kinetic weapons were primitive, easy to defend against, but these projectiles moved faster than anything the aliens had ever seen. They struck enemy ships with the force of small nuclear weapons, punching through shields and armor like they were made of paper. Worse, the projectiles seemed to think. They changed course in flight, avoided defensive fire, and struck with surgical precision. A Hive bioship found its weapon organs severed by a projectile that had somehow navigated through its internal structure without damaging anything else. A Nexus crystal ship discovered that its main cannon had been neatly removed, as if cut by a precise tool. A Void plasma vessel watched in amazement as its primary weapon simply stopped working, disabled by a projectile that had somehow phased through its gaseous hull. "What kind of weapons are these?" Queen Vex demanded. Chief Engineer Choi Min, monitoring the weapon systems from the Indomitable's engine room, smiled grimly. Smart kinetics, she muttered to herself. Projectiles with AI guidance systems. They learn the target's weaknesses in flight and adapt their approach accordingly. The alien fleets tried to adapt. They changed their attack patterns, modified their formations, and attempted new tactics. But every time they changed their approach, the human ship changed with them. It was as if the Indomitable was learning from every exchange, growing smarter and more dangerous with each passing moment. Captain, Kimso reported, we're approaching the asteroid field. The civilian transport is 3 minutes away. Understood, Mr. Park. Lay down covering fire. Keep those fleets at a distance. The Indomitable unleashed its full arsenal for the first time. Kinetic projectiles streaked through space like silver lightning. Energy shields sprang up around the ship, creating a protective bubble. Missile pods opened along the hull, launching hundreds of smart weapons that spread out like a deadly swarm. The alien fleets tried to respond, but they were facing something they had never encountered before. Human weapons that adapted and learned. Human tactics that changed faster than they could counter. Human technology that seemed to violate the laws of physics. But most disturbing of all was the human crew itself. While alien crews panicked and made mistakes under pressure, the humans became calmer and more focused. Their impossible situation did not break them. It made them stronger. Captain Lee Day stood on his bridge, watching his ship carve through 600 enemy vessels like a sword through silk. He felt no pride, no satisfaction, no bloodlust. He felt only determination. 43 civilians were waiting for rescue, and nothing in the universe would stop him from reaching them. 2 minutes to the transport, Kimso announced. All hands. Prepare for docking procedures, Lee Day ordered. Dr. Nam, ready the medical teams. We're going to have injured civilians aboard. In the asteroid field ahead, the civilian transport Harmony's Dream waited in the darkness, its hull cracked and its life support failing. Inside, 43 beings from different worlds held each other and prayed to their various gods for salvation. Behind the Indomitable, 600 alien warships watched in stunned silence as a single human vessel accomplished the impossible. They had fired every weapon they possessed. They had used every tactic they knew. They had thrown everything they had at one small ship, and they had failed completely. For the first time in galactic history, 3 major fleets had been defeated not by superior numbers or better weapons, but by something else entirely, something the galaxy had never seen before, the human way of war. The civilian transport Harmony's Dream hung dead in space among the asteroids, its hull cracked like a broken egg. Emergency lights flickered weakly through the viewports, and wisps of atmosphere leaked into the vacuum like the ship's dying breath. Inside, 43 refugees huddled together in the main cargo bay, the only section still holding air. Captain Yu of the Harmony's Dream watched his instruments with growing despair. Life support would fail completely in 23 minutes. The backup power was almost gone. The distress beacon had been broadcasting for hours, but no one had answered. No one cared about a broken transport full of refugees in the middle of a war zone. Captain, said his engineer, a young woman named Sul, something's happening outside. There are energy discharges. Weapons fire. Yu looked through the cracked viewport and saw distant flashes of light. The 3 alien fleets were fighting something, but he could not see what. Another ship had entered the war zone, but it was probably just another warship joining the endless battle. Then Sul's instruments lit up like festival fireworks. Captain, there's a ship approaching. It's heading straight for us. What kind of ship? Unknown design. But Captain, it's broadcasting a message. The speakers crackled to life with a calm, steady voice. Civilian transport Harmony's Dream. This is Captain Lee Day of the human vessel Indomitable. We have received your distress call. Hold your position. We are coming to assist. Yu stared at the speaker in disbelief. Human? Did he say human? In the cargo bay, the refugees stirred with hope. Among them were families from 6 different worlds, all fleeing from the destruction of their home colonies. There were parents holding children, elderly beings helped by younger ones, and medical staff caring for the wounded. They represented different species, some with fur, some with scales, some with crystal skin, but they all shared the same expression of desperate hope. "A rescue ship is coming," Yu announced over the internal communications. "Human ship. Hold together just a little longer." Through the asteroid field, the Indomitable approached like a silver angel. Its hull bore scorch marks from the battle with the 3 fleets, but it moved with purpose and grace. Behind it, the alien armadas hung back, their weapons silent. They had learned not to underestimate the human vessel. "Transport vessel, this is Captain Lee Day. What is your status?" Yu activated his communication system. "Indomitable, this is Captain Yu. We have 43 civilians aboard. Life support failing. Hull breached in 7 sections. We have wounded who need medical attention." "Understood. We are moving to dock with your vessel. Prepare for emergency evacuation." The Indomitable maneuvered through the asteroid field with impossible precision. Navigator Kim so threaded the ship between floating rocks the size of mountains, never touching, never slowing. The human vessel matched the transport's rotation and extended a docking tube. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Dr. Nam monitored the medical scanners. "Captain, I'm reading multiple injuries aboard the transport. Radiation exposure, pressure damage, and what looks like exhaustion. We need to move fast." "Understood, Doctor. Mr. Park, maintain defensive position. Those fleets are still out there." The docking was completed in 3 minutes. The airlocks opened and the first human crew members stepped aboard the Harmony's Dream. They moved with quick efficiency, carrying medical supplies and emergency equipment. Dr. Nam entered the cargo bay and saw the refugees for the first time. Families huddled together in the dim light, many showing signs of injury and stress. She had treated hundreds of species during her career, but seeing these civilians, these innocents caught in someone else's war, made her heart ache. "I'm Dr. Nam from the Indomitable," she announced. "We're here to help. Medical cases first, then families with children." The evacuation began immediately. Human crew members worked alongside the transport staff to move the refugees safely. They showed no favoritism based on species or appearance. Every being was treated with the same care and respect. A small child from the crystal world of Nexus Minor had been separated from her parents during the transport's emergency. She sat alone in a corner, her crystalline features dim with fear. Chief Engineer Choi Min found her there and knelt down to the child's level. "Hey there," Choi said gently. "What's your name?" The child's response came in harmonics that most species could not understand, but Choi had studied Nexus languages. "My name is Little Song," the child had said. "Well, Little Song, we're going to find your parents and get you somewhere safe." "Can you walk?" The child nodded and took Choi's hand. Together, they made their way to the Indomitable, where other crew members were already working to reunite families. The evacuation took time. The wounded had to be moved carefully. Families had to be kept together. Equipment had to be saved when possible. During the entire process, the Indomitable remained docked with the transport, making itself completely vulnerable to attack. This did not go unnoticed by the 3 alien fleets. On the Hive Queen's bioship, tactical officers reported the situation with confusion. "My queen, the human vessel has docked with the transport. They are completely exposed. We could destroy them both with a single biotorpedo." Queen Vex studied the tactical display. The human ship that had just defeated her entire fleet was now defenseless, focused entirely on saving civilians. It made no military sense. Why do they not leave the civilians and escape? Their mission is complete. They have proven their superiority. On the Nexus flagship, Emperor Chris watched the rescue operation with growing amazement. His science officers had intercepted human communications, and what they heard challenged everything they thought they knew about warfare. "Emperor, the humans are giving their own supplies to the refugees. Their medical officer is treating alien injuries as if they were her own people. Their crew is sacrificing their own safety to save strangers. Emperor Chris's crystal form pulsed with confusion. This behavior serves no tactical purpose. It gains them nothing. Admiral Nex, commanding the Void Confederation fleet, was equally puzzled. His tactical analysis showed that the humans could have completed their mission and escaped long ago. Instead, they were risking everything to ensure that every civilian was safe. "Admiral," his operations officer reported, "the humans are even evacuating the transport crew. They're leaving no one behind." The evacuation continued for 47 minutes. When it was complete, 43 refugees and 5 transport crew members had been safely moved to the Indomitable. The humans had given up their own quarters, their own supplies, even their own escape pods to accommodate the civilians. Captain Yu was the last to leave his ship. As he stepped aboard the Indomitable, he found Captain Li Day waiting for him. "Your ship?" Li asked. "She's done," Yu replied sadly. "Life support is failing. Hull integrity is too damaged to repair. She'll break apart within the hour." Li nodded. "You and your crew fought well. You kept 43 people alive until help arrived. That's what matters." As the docking tube retracted and the Indomitable prepared to leave, the 3 alien fleets watched in silence. They could have attacked the human ship during the evacuation. They could have destroyed it while it was vulnerable. But something had stopped them. Perhaps it was professional respect for an enemy who had outfought them so completely. Perhaps it was confusion about human motivations. Or perhaps somewhere deep in their alien minds, they recognized something they had forgotten in their long years of war. The idea that some things were more important than victory. The Indomitable began moving away from the doomed transport, carrying its cargo of rescued civilians toward safety. Behind it, the Harmony's Dream finally succumbed to its damage, breaking apart among the asteroids like a flower scattering its petals. But everyone who had been aboard was safe. Every life had been saved. On the human ship's bridge, Captain Li Day watched the refugee families being settled into temporary quarters. The ship was crowded now, pushing its life support systems to the limit. Food and water would be rationed. Privacy would be non-existent. Comfort would be minimal, and every human crew member acted as if this was exactly where they wanted to be. "Captain," Navigator Kim So reported, "the alien fleets are maintaining their distance. They're not pursuing." "Good. Set course for the nearest coalition station. Best possible speed." "Aye, sir." As the Indomitable departed the Kepler War Zone, carrying its precious cargo toward safety, 43 civilians from 6 different worlds tried to understand what had just happened. They had been saved by strangers, rescued by beings they had never met, who owed them nothing, who had risked everything for them. In the human way of thinking, this was simply the right thing to do. In the rest of the galaxy, it was a revolution. The final battle was not supposed to happen. According to every military manual in the galaxy, the human ship should have escaped with the civilians. Their mission was complete. They had proven their point. They should have run. But the Indomitable did not run. As the human vessel departed the asteroid field with its cargo of refugees, the 3 alien fleets moved to block its path. Not to attack, they had learned that lesson already, but to test something. They wanted to understand what they had witnessed. Captain Li Day stood on his bridge, watching the alien ships form a wall between his vessel and safety. The Indomitable now carried 48 people beyond its normal capacity. Life support was stretched thin. Food and water were rationed. "Every system was pushed to its limits, Captain," reported Navigator Kim. "So, the 3 fleets are moving into blocking formation. They're not targeting us, but they're preventing our escape." Weapons Officer Park Jin checked his instruments. "Sir, we're operating at 60% efficiency due to the extra passengers. Our maneuverability is reduced and our power systems are strained." Chief Engineer Choi Min's voice came through the communication system from the engine room. "Captain, I can give you emergency power for maybe 30 minutes of combat. After that, we'll be running on backup systems. Dr. Nam, working in the overcrowded medical bay, looked up from treating a wounded refugee. Captain, we have injured civilians aboard. This ship was not designed for this many people. We need to reach a medical facility soon. Li Day absorbed all this information calmly. By every measure of military logic, his ship was in no condition to fight. He was outnumbered, outgunned, and carrying civilians who would die if the ship was damaged. The smart thing to do would be to surrender or negotiate. But humans, the galaxy was about to learn, did not always do the smart thing. Open a channel to all 3 fleet commanders, Li ordered. The main screen split into 3 sections, showing Queen Vex of the Hive Collective, Emperor Chris of the Nexus Empire, and Admiral Nex of the Void Confederation. All 3 alien leaders looked different now. Less certain, less commanding. The easy confidence they had shown before was gone. Human Captain. Queen Vex spoke first, her insect features twitching with confusion. Your rescue mission is complete. You have proven your vessel's capabilities. Why do you not seek escape? Emperor Chris's crystal form pulsed with genuine curiosity. Our analysis suggests your ship is now vulnerable. You carry civilians. Your systems are strained. Logic dictates immediate withdrawal. Admiral Nex's gaseous body swirled thoughtfully. We offer safe passage. You have earned it. Take your rescued civilians and leave this place. Li Day looked at the 3 commanders, beings who represented civilizations that had conquered star systems and fought wars for centuries. That's very generous, he said quietly. But I have to ask, what happens to the next civilian ship that breaks down in this war zone? What happens to the next group of refugees who get caught in your crossfire? The alien stared at him. The question made no sense to them. Wars had always produced civilian casualties. Refugees were simply an unfortunate side effect of conquest. This was how the galaxy worked. There will always be casualties in war, Queen Vex said, as if explaining something obvious to a child. Civilian losses are statistically inevitable, Emperor Chris added with crystalline logic. War consumes the weak. This is natural law, Admiral Nex concluded with gaseous finality. Li Day was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his words carried the weight of humanity's deepest conviction. No, that's not acceptable. Not anymore. Behind him on the bridge, his crew exchanged glances. They knew what was coming. They had served with Li Day long enough to recognize that tone of voice. The captain had made a decision that would change everything. This war has been going on for 2 years, Li continued. You've been so busy fighting each other that you've forgotten why wars are supposed to be fought. You've forgotten that the strong are supposed to protect the weak, not prey on them. The alien commanders reacted with shock. Queen Vex's bioship pulsed with indignation. You dare lecture us? Your species has barely left its home world. Emperor Chris's crystal flagship blazed with angry light. We have fought wars for millennia. What can humans possibly teach us about conflict? Admiral Nex's plasma vessel writhed with fury. Your arrogance knows no bounds, human. Li Day's expression did not change. You're right. Humans are new to space. We've only been out here for 300 years. But in that time, we've learned something that you seem to have forgotten. And what is that? All 3 commanders asked simultaneously. That the purpose of strength is to protect those who cannot protect themselves. That the point of technology is to save lives, not take them. That the reason we fight is not for conquest or territory or resources, but to make sure that children can sleep safely at night. The bridge of the Indomitable fell silent. In the overcrowded refugee quarters, families from 6 different worlds listened to the human captain's words. They did not fully understand the military situation, but they understood the message. Someone was willing to fight for them. On the Coalition monitoring station, Commander Yoon and Lieutenant Han watched their instruments in amazement. The human ship was broadcasting Li Day's words on all frequencies. Every ship in the sector could hear them. More importantly, Every coalition vessel within 50 light-years was receiving the transmission. "Sir," Han reported with excitement, "we're getting responses from coalition forces throughout the region. Ships are changing course toward the Kepler sector." The three alien fleet commanders suddenly realized that the situation had changed. This was no longer a private battle between their forces and a single human ship. The galaxy was watching. Other species were listening. The conversation was being broadcast everywhere, and the humans were making them look like monsters. "You speak of protection," Queen Vex said, her voice less certain now. "But you are only one ship. What can you accomplish alone?" Li Day smiled for the first time since the crisis began. "Who said we were alone?" The tactical displays of all three fleets lit up with new contacts. Coalition ships were emerging from hyperspace at the edge of the sector. Not to fight, but to watch, to witness, to see what would happen when humanity's philosophy met the galaxy's oldest prejudices. "This is Admiral Singh of the Coalition Third Fleet," came a new voice over the communication channels. "All vessels in the Kepler sector, be advised that coalition forces are now present as neutral observers. Any attack on the human rescue vessel will be considered an act of aggression against the coalition." More ships appeared, independent traders who had heard the broadcast. Merchant vessels carrying mixed crews, explorer ships from a dozen different species, even some military units from neutral systems. They came not to fight, but to see what the humans would do next. The three alien fleets suddenly found themselves surrounded not by enemies, but by witnesses. The entire galaxy was watching their next move. Emperor Chris spoke first, his crystal voice uncertain. "Human Captain, what do you propose?" Li Day looked at the tactical display, showing hundreds of ships now present in the sector. Representatives from across the galaxy, all drawn by the simple idea that civilians should be protected, that the strong should help the weak, that some things were more important than winning. "I propose," Li said quietly, "that this war ends. Here. Now. That the three of you remember what you were fighting for in the first place. Before you got so caught up in fighting each other that you forgot why you started." Admiral Nex's plasma form rippled with something that might have been shame. "The quantum crystals will still be here tomorrow," Li finished. "But if this war continues, how many more civilian ships will break down in your crossfire? How many more refugee families will die while you're busy shooting at each other?" Queen Vex's bioship pulsed with a different rhythm now. Not aggression, but something else. "You suggest, what? That we simply stop?" "I suggest that you remember what it means to be the protectors of your people, instead of just their warriors." The silence that followed was broken by an unexpected voice. Dr. Nam, speaking from the Indomitable's medical bay. "Captain, I have a patient here who wants to speak." The screen changed to show the medical bay, crowded with refugees from the destroyed transport. A small crystal child, Little Song, whom Engineer Choi had comforted, stepped forward. Her young voice rang with crystalline purity. "Emperor Chris, why are you fighting? My homeworld had beautiful crystal gardens. Now they're all broken. When will I be able to go home?" The Emperor's crystal form went completely still. Here was one of his own people, a child, asking why her world had been destroyed in his war for crystal resources. Resources that meant nothing compared to the life of a single child. Similar voices began to speak from other refugee ships that had joined the growing fleet. Families from hive worlds asking Queen Vex why their homes had been consumed. Gasping children asking Admiral Nex why their cloud cities had been dispersed. The three alien commanders realized that their war had produced something they had never intended. An entire generation of their own people who had been turned into refugees by their own leaders' ambitions. "Perhaps," Queen Vex said slowly, "it is time to discuss terms." "Perhaps," Emperor Chris agreed, his crystal voice subdued. "We have forgotten our purpose." "Perhaps," Admiral Nex concluded, his plasma form shifting into a more peaceful configuration. "The human captain speaks wisdom." Captain Li Day nodded. "Then let's talk. But first, let's get these civilians to safety. All of them. From all three of your fleets. Every refugee, every displaced family, every child who just wants to go home. And so the Kepler War ended not with a great battle, but with a rescue operation. The three most powerful fleets in the sector worked together for the first time in 2 years, not to destroy, but to save. They evacuated refugee camps. They provided medical aid to the wounded. They began the long process of rebuilding what they had torn down. The phrase "caution," a human warship has entered the war zone, became famous throughout the galaxy. But it was not remembered as a warning of destruction. It was remembered as a promise of hope. A promise that said, no matter how dark things get, no matter how hopeless the situation seems, someone will come for you. Someone will fight for you. Someone will remind the galaxy that the strong exist to protect the weak. That was the human way, and the galaxy would never be the same.